This is Detroit's Darkest Times. I want you to subscribe, hit the like button, and the notification bell. Support the channel. Today we're going to talk about arson, attempted murder, divorce, and freedom. This story is in Livernois Avenue, Detroit, Michigan. This story also plays a part in Tennessee. But I'm living in Detroit on Livernois Avenue, and some of my family's living in Tennessee. Which this is my mother, my stepdad, some of my sisters, some of my brothers, their kids, things like that. As time passes, I, call my mother once in a while, check in with them, see how they're doing and all that. Anyways, as time passed, my stepdad, he shows up in Detroit. And he's got a pickup truck with a camper on it, and he's got all of his stuff in the back of the truck. So he looks me up, because he don't know exactly where I'm at in Detroit. He looks me up, then he finds me, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to go to Cozy Co's bar and have some drinks?" And I'm like, "Oh, what happened?" Because I seen all of his stuff in the back of his truck. And he said, "Well, I'm going to tell you about it when we go to the bar." I was a little bit leery about it, but I said, "Yeah, we can do that." I said, "First off, I want to go by my friend Mike's house and let him know where I'm going to be at, because he'll probably come with some more of my friends later on." He was like, "All right, we'll stop by." So I stopped by Mike's house, told him I was going to be at Cozy Co's. And I told him, definitely come up there, because I don't really know how this is going to end. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll be up there. I'll probably bring some other people." And I was like, "All right, appreciate it." So anyways, we go to the bar, and then we're drinking some beer, and then he tells me that him and my mother is getting a divorce. And I was like, "Well, what's going on?" And then he said that they separated in Tennessee, and then he went and stayed in a motel, which I'm a little familiar about this too. It used to be the Cherokee Hotel, or Cherokee Motel, and it was like right through the tunnel of Red Bank, Tennessee. But anyways, he was staying there, and then while the divorce was going on, then one night, which he drank a lot anyways, but one night he decided he's gonna drink, and his main drink was like vodka straight. And he had got drunk, and now this story, some of it comes from him, some of it comes from my family. But anyways, he gets drunk, and this right here is coming from my family after the fact. Later on down the road, I hear this. He gets drunk. He goes back to the house that him and my mother had built, and this is in Possum Creek, Tennessee. And he takes gas with him, and then he puts gas all over the front of the house. Then he knocks on the door, and my mom comes to the door. Now, he's not telling me this. My family's telling me this later on down the road. But my mom answers the door, and then he throws gas on her. Now, mind you, there's other people in this house. There's women, kids, and guys. So I really don't even see how this even played out, because if I was there, that wouldn't have happened. But anyways, he throws gas on her, and he tells everybody to get out the house because he's going to burn the house down. And obviously he's just upset because they're getting a divorce. And I guess he just didn't want to lose the house, because like they had sold their house in Detroit on Livernois, and then they took the money and came down to Tennessee and then bought some land, and they cleared the land, and after they cleared the land, they got I believe it was Jim Walters Homes to build the house. And it was like a 4-bedroom house with 2 bathrooms and a laundry room, kitchen, living room, hallway. It was a pretty good sized house. But anyways, they had that built and everything. And in the midst of that, and they run into a problem somehow. I think the story I heard from my sister had told me that one of my brother's girlfriends was staying over there at the house with my brother, and then something about everybody was gone, and the only people that was left at the house that day was my stepdad and then my brother's girlfriend. What I hear is he had some friends come over and they were drinking, and my sister lived down the road, and she said she went over there to do some laundry, and when she got to the front door, I don't know if she looked in the front door or she walked in the front door, but she said that she seen my brother's girlfriend sitting on my stepdad's lap, and everybody was drinking around the table, and my mom was working, and she worked at Erlanger, and also he worked at Erlanger as security over there. Excuse me. Anyways, my sister said she got mad and said something to the girl. And then after my mom got home, or I don't even know if she waited till my mom got home, I think she might have called her at work and told her what happened. So this really ends up being the reason for separation and divorce, you know. And anyways, he's out the house. He comes back. He puts gas all over the house, throws gas on my mother, tells everybody to get out the house. And then he lights the house. And then obviously everybody, I'm in Detroit, so, you know, obviously everybody just left the house instead of trying to stop them or something. I couldn't make no sense out of that, really. But anyways, they're out the house, and then obviously he gets in his car and leaves. They call the fire department and the police, and then the police actually catch him like in Soddy Daisy on a back street, and they arrest him. But anyways, back in Detroit, when he shows up, I don't know all this take place. I hear all this later on down the road. But when he shows up, he like plays like the victim, like my mom was going to just divorce him. And I even think he said that she took up with another guy, which I knew that was not true. But I know he was just trying to make it sound good for him. And I was just going along with him, trying to get the whole story out of him, what happened, because I didn't hear nothing about, you know, the stuff until later on. But anyways, and he was like, I was staying in a motel, and then he starts to tell me that he decides that he's going to go burn the house down. But he left out, he threw gas on my mother and stuff like that. He just said he was going to burn the house down because he cleared the land and he had the house built, which him and my mother had the house built, and he had the house built, and he just didn't want to lose, obviously didn't want to lose the house. But anybody in their right mind knows if you do that, you're not only going to lose the house, you're going to lose your freedom too. So I don't know what he was thinking, but also he was drunk too. So, and then, he says that he decides to go over there and burn the house down. When he told me that, it flipped me out. I ordered me a double shot of Crown Royal at that time because I was like, I couldn't believe he like burned a brand new house up. But anyways, he told me that, and I was like, wow, man. And I said, well, did the whole house burn down or what? And then he really didn't know much about what happened because he didn't go nowhere near the house even when he made bond. But anyways, he said that they charged him with I think it was 7 counts attempted murder and then arson. And I believe that's because how many people and kids was in the house? It's about 7. And but then when he went to jail, he stayed there for a little while. Then he said that he got money from the sister because the sister had some money from an incident where I think a Miller beer truck hit her husband on a motorcycle and he killed him. So they ended up paying her a lot of money for like a wrongful death suit or whatever. But anyway, she had money, so his bond was like $1 million. And I don't know if he had to pay 10% because I didn't ask him. I don't know if he paid 10% of $1 million or half the million or all of it. I'm not for sure about that, but I do know the bond was $1 million. And then he said he made bond, and then what he wanted to do is just get away from Tennessee, so that's when he showed up in Detroit. Then he also had a son in Detroit, and that's who he was staying with while he was going back and forth to Tennessee, going to court on his court dates. And this guy, he knew how to work on cars and stuff real good, and he drank a lot, but he also knew the law real good. He actually could have been a lawyer, possibly a judge. That's how up on the law he was. He was pretty smart about the law. And anyways, there was an incident one time where he got in trouble and he went to court. And once the judge realized, that he knew what he was doing, and he was really more qualified than the guy was. So the judge just disqualified himself and then got, which made it postpone the court, which he had to get another judge. But that's how smart he was on law, Because I think he even went to law school, back in the day and stuff, and then he just stayed up on top of the law as the laws changed over the years or whatever, because he was real smart about that. But he didn't choose to go that route. He actually chose to go a different route. But I don't really know the purpose of him going to law school or just knowing the law real good or whatever, but maybe he just knew he was going to be an outlaw and he just wanted to know the law good. Or maybe at one time he was going to be an attorney or wanted to be a judge and he just went a different direction. I don't really know the whole scoop on that. But anyways, he's telling me that story, and I'm just shocked about the whole situation. And really, in my mind, I'm thinking, is everybody okay? So, once I get done with him, the first thing I'm going to do is call my mom and see, how everything is. But anyways, as we was in there, he's telling me the story, and he's trying to make it sound like, he's the victim and all that. And then my friend Mike, Kaz, Chief, and Bobby, they show up in the bar. And then I called Mike to the side while everybody's talking. And I told him, I said, hey, there's something went down in Tennessee. And I really don't know the whole story. He's trying to tell me his part of the story. And I don't know what his intentions is really, because my mom's getting a divorce from him and he's real mad. And he said he set the house on fire and stuff like that. So I told Mike at the end of the night, I said, I want you to just tell me that you want me to go somewhere with you. And then that way we can ditch him and he can go about his way. That way, if he does have anything planned, it's not going to work. And he was like, yeah, that sounds good. And they knew him from the past when he actually lived in Detroit. And, but, so we ended up staying there and he was telling us, then he ended up telling the other guys, they were listening to the story and stuff. But, he just made it sound like he was the victim and my mom was just going to divorce him, and take the house and all this. But later I found out the rest of the story. But meanwhile, while he's in Detroit, I'm staying over with my godmother off on Woodmere. And then I guess somebody had told him that I stay over there. And he had drove over there, and one morning we woke up and was getting ready to go somewhere, and the van was outside, but it wasn't in front of our place. It was like across the street on the cemetery side, just parked. So my godmother went over there and knocked on the door, and I told her a little bit was going on, but we was going to call and find out the rest of the story, because my godmother and my mother, they were friends for many years, and they talk once in a while on the phone. But she wanted to hear his side of the story too before she called my mom. But anyway, she went to the van, and she knew him, and she went to the van and she asked him, did he want to come in and drink some coffee and stuff? And then so he came in and he was telling his side of the story and all that. But I had done talked to my godmother, and she knew that his side of the story wouldn't be the truth of the story. Anyways, he had ended up staying with his son in Detroit. And I think he actually got his son's phone number from my godmother, because I used to work with his son in Detroit and doing construction and stuff like that. But anyways, he ends up staying with his son, and so he's traveling back and forth to Tennessee fighting this case that he's got. So after that, my godmother calls my mother and trying to find out what's going on and stuff. So later we find out the whole story, And actually, this incident was on the news, and it's actually public record now. You can actually look it up and find out the whole story about it. But anyways, what had happened is he set the house on fire. He left. He gets arrested. They charge him with 7 counts of attempted murder and arson. Then while he's fighting his case, he's trying to get things knocked off because he was in some serious trouble, really. But as time passed, he ended up getting the whole case dismissed. And the story that he was saying, that he said that he got it all dismissed because he knocked on the door and told everybody to get out the house. So they couldn't charge him with 7 counts of attempted murder when he told everybody to leave the house. Then on the arson, it was his house. Even though he were getting a divorce, it was still not final yet, so it was actually his house. And I don't know the scoop on that. I don't know if they decided, well, if it's your own house and you burn it, it's on you, And because that would be the only way I would know that you can get out of, an arson charge, if you burnt your own house and it wasn't nobody else's house. You know what I mean? And like if you're married and it's in 2 people's name, basically when you're married, you're as one person, So that would be the only way that I know. And I haven't looked the case up, but anybody can look it up because it was on the news and it's public record. But that would be the only way I know that he would get out of, the arson charge. But actually, he said he beat both all 7 attempted counts of murder and then the arson charge, and he had beat that. But like I said, when he got out on bond, and his bond was $1 million, I'm just gonna say it was 10% of $1 million, but I'm not for sure because he got the money from his sister and she had a ton of money. But after that, it was just something else because, after I talked to my family and they was telling me what happened, I was just, for one, I couldn't believe that there was that many people in the house and nobody tried to stop them. But, I never talked to them about it. Maybe he set it on fire and jumped in his car and left and nobody had a chance to stop him. I don't really know the whole scoop, what happened. I mean, all I know is just what I was told. But I just thought that was crazy, And, but dude was a character, because when he first became, got into our family, and then he moved in with us. Like I said, he partied a lot, but we knew him prior to that, and he partied a lot. But the thing was, one time he got into it with my brother and his friends. I don't know what it was about. They had an argument or disagreement or something on Elm Street. This is off of Trumbull Avenue. And so he gets, he was drinking and he gets his 12 gauge shotgun and he gets it out and the guys run out. We had like a kind of like a long house, and the way the house was, the laundry room was like connected to the back of the house, and then it had a garage to it and it was connected. So it was like a long, like a shotgun house in a way, because it was just real long. But anyways, they had ran out the side door and then he goes into his closet. He had a closet with a padlock on it where he kept his stuff at. And he gets a shotgun, and he gets a shotgun and goes out the front door, and then he aims it toward the back, and they're all jumping over the fence by the garage into the alley, and he shoots. And I don't know really if he was just shooting like, up in the air or toward them or away from them or whatever. I just know he shot the shotgun, and they stayed gone for a while. And I actually think my brother stayed gone that night, and he didn't come back to the next day because I guess he figured, he was sober up, and then he could talk to him and find out what was up. But anyways, I think it was just a disagreement where he was trying to tell my brother what to do or whatever, and he was with his friends, and it just didn't go off. It didn't kick off right because he was kind of like new in the family, So I guess people just wasn't trying to hear that, what he was trying to say. And anyways, that's that was the type of dude he was. But he was like, he was an okay dude. Sometimes he was a pain in the ass, and sometimes people just did not like him at all. And I've seen times where his own son was going to jump him, and because he was doing bad, as far as like mistreating the lady he was with and stuff. And so yeah, dude, he was a character, but in a sense, you'd think that something was kind of wrong with him because he would be all right, but if he was drinking a lot of vodka and stuff like that, it was like, there's a difference between drinking and being well intoxicated and, acting a certain way. But then there's another difference if you just become a totally different person, And it's like, and my thought on it now that I'm a lot older, my thought on it is if you're drinking alcohol pretty heavy all your life, I really believe it just affects your brain, with the alcohol and stuff, consuming alcohol over the years. And I really think it affects your brain, but it really don't show that much until you're well intoxicated. Then, and I'm not a doctor, but just this experience of watching people over the years and stuff like that. That's my thought on it. But anyways, so that was like attempted murders, arson, and then the freedom I put in there is because he had beat the cases and stuff like that, and then he was just let free, So that was the story on that, and it was kind of wicked because somebody, I guess, when you build something with somebody and and then you get ready to get a divorce and you stand to lose what you do have, I guess that could be the reason why people would act out, because many people has went through this and many people has done some crazy stuff over the years due to a divorce. But I just thought it was really crazy because, I've always been the type where if I'm going to get a divorce or if I go through a divorce or something like that, I'm leaving it where it's at and I'm moving on, because, it's clear it's not going to work. If you're getting a divorce and stuff, you might as well just move on and just, better yourself, regardless if it was on you or on your wife or whatever, you might as well just part ways, because this story I'm telling you about my stepdad, it could have went south, and he could have ended up in prison for the rest of his life. And and I think there's just some factors plays a part in it, like him knowing the law, and I'm sure when he acted this out and decided to do it, I know he probably thought about it before he went to do it. But the thing is, he didn't actually know what the outcome was going to be. He didn't know that, you know, he was probably just so mad that he didn't really care what the outcome was, if he's going to end up in jail for the rest of his life or whatever. I mean, obviously he was that angry, to, go and, burn the house down, throw gas on my mother. And, I didn't know this at the time that, he's in the bar with me. He's telling, because he's what he's doing is leaving stuff out of the story and just telling his part where it sounds like, he got done wrong, and it wasn't on him, it was on the other party. But later I found out the whole other story. Then I also found out it was on the news, and I was like, wow, that is some big event, which that was something else. But, you know, it took him a while to get out on bond. And then, matter of fact, he was in a newspaper too, because I think I seen a newspaper clipping on down the road that somebody had saved, and they showed it to me. And it was like, he was like walking to court or something, and he had handcuffs on in front of him, and he had some papers in his hand, and he had his face covered up, you know. But that's just a story that I wanted to share because it's part of my story, of my upbringing and growing up, and I have many more to come, but that's just part of the story that happened. And this guy was, something else because, you know, I don't really think just the time that I knew him, I really don't even think he feared, getting in trouble or anything. Like,